What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're out here in the garage once again bringing you guys some Road Glide content. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a build breakdown on my 2019 Road Glide Special. I just installed a new motor in the bike, and if you guys have been watching my recent videos on this bike, you know that I went down to Florida to see George at All American Cycle, and he tuned my bike on E85. And we made really good power with it, and I've had a lot of you guys message me on Instagram and comment in the comment section asking me what size motor I went with, what kind of heads I went with, what kind of cams in the bike, what pipe, etc, etc. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is explain to you guys what parts I installed in the motor and what size cam I'm running, and sort of let you guys know what it takes to make over 170 horsepower in a street trim bagger. So without further ado, let's hop into the video and get started. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be asking what's the deal with this 2019 CVO. Don't mind that bike just yet. Stay tuned for the next video. I will go over what this bike here is all about. It's actually a cool story behind this bike here, so you're not going to want to miss it. So stay tuned to the next video. But today's video is going to be all about my 2019 Stage 4, or what I'd like to call Stage 4 Plus Road Glide Special. Alright guys, so the moment you've all been waiting for. What size motor did I build for the Road Glide? And the answer to that question is 130 cubic inch motor, guys. Nothing big. There are a few companies that sell a 130 kit, and I happen to get a custom 130 kit. I'm not going to mention the company that I got it from just because there was a couple things that happened through the process, but just so you guys know, it's a 130 cubic inch motor, and you can buy 130 cubic inch motors from many different companies. If you guys are interested in buying a 130 cubic inch big bore kit, I highly recommend contacting George over at All American Cycle. He will take very good care of you, and he offers a badass, tried and true, very reliable, very fast, best sounding 130 cubic inch engine package, guys. Make sure you guys hit up George at All American Cycle if you guys are in the market for a big bore kit. If you guys are leaning more towards this route of making the most power out of a smaller motor, he is the man. Look no further than All American Cycle. He sells his own kit. Now, I will say this, don't call him and ask him all the specs on his pistons and his cylinders and what cam he's going to be running in the kit. He won't give you guys all that information. All he'll give you is, I can sell you a 130 kit and it'll make X amount of horsepower with this pipe, this air cleaner, and this tune, whether it's on 93 or E85. He knows his stuff. I know I'm not the only YouTuber that talks about him, but here I am, guys, 1,500 miles away from George, and I still loaded up the Road Glide, took it down there for him to tune it on 85, and this thing is an absolute monster, guys. As you can see in the dyno video, if you guys haven't watched it yet, make sure you guys go back. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video. We strapped the bike on the dyno, we tuned it on 93, we tuned it on E85. I have two separate maps, I'll get into that here in a minute. And for what size motor is in this bike, it's an absolute monster, guys. So yeah, 130 cubic inch motor. I went with the V-Twin PowerSports 65mm throttle body with the matching 65mm manifold. Absolutely love that piece. It looks a lot like the HPI. It's a little bit cheaper, and I wanted to try something a little bit different. I know a lot of guys go with the 64mm Screaming Eagle throttle body with like a Ward manifold or a ported 64mm manifold. But V-Twin PowerSports came out with the 65mm manifold and throttle body, and I wanted to try it out. So I went ahead and bought that, and it made good power on the dyno. George was very happy with it, and George is now running those on a lot of his bikes and a lot of his packages as well. So there you have it, 130 cubic inch motor, V-Twin PowerSports 65mm throttle body and manifold. Moving on down here, we've got a Thunder header, 2-into-1 pipe, that we had to put on while I was down there in Florida at All American Cycle. The reason why I had to switch pipes from my Fuel Moto Jackpot 2-into-1 Road and Track from 2019, when that pipe first came out, is because it was not a stepped header pipe, and they have definitely perfected the new Jackpot 2-into-1 pipe, which is actually sitting over here in the box. Stay tuned for that video. But anyway, that's why I had to make the switch over to the Thunderheader, simply because the OG Road and Track 2-into-1 pipe from Fuel Moto did not flow enough for this much compression and this much horsepower. So George had a Thunderheader in stock. We slapped it on the bike. It made the power it should, and here we are. However, I'm not a huge fan of how the Thunderheader looks on the bike. I absolutely love the sound of it, but I'm not in love with the look of it. I'm not a fan of how it wraps around back here, kind of like a D&D. I don't really care for that. And I'm not a fan of how it looks coming out the back here. I know you're either a Thunderheader guy or you're not. So unfortunately, I'm not a fan of the pipe, so I went ahead and ordered another pipe, but stay tuned for that. That'll be a separate video. But anyway, speaking of compression, like I just mentioned, I know a lot of you guys are wondering, what compression am I running with this 130 kit? Well, the answer to that question is 12-to-1, guys. 12-to-1 compression on a 130 cubic inch motor, and as you guys can see in the dyno video, you can make some pretty good power with that package. Now, every tuner, every builder, they're gonna have their own recipe, they're gonna have their own package, and again, I'm not gonna get into detail on where I got my package from, but if you guys are in the market and you guys want to have a bad, fast, reliable street bike, highway bike, whatever you want to call it, a bike that you can have 2 maps, a 93 map and an 85 map, look no further than All American Cycle guys down in Miami, Florida. George and his crew will take very good care of you. They are not paying me to make this video. I felt like I owed George this video after all the help and knowledge he has taught me over the last month of dealing with him. What a down-to-earth guy, great people working for him, and definitely made me feel like family when I was there. So now I know you guys have heard the bike run, you've seen it run on the dyno, you've heard the cold starts, you've heard everything about this bike here, okay? And you guys are probably wondering, what camshaft is he running in this bike, especially to make those numbers he did on the dyno. And a lot of you guys are going to be shocked right now when I tell you what size camshaft I have in this bike, because a lot of bikes that make over the 170 horsepower mark have camshafts near the 600 lift mark. And to be completely honest with you guys, the camshaft I have in this bike is a 550 lift. That's it. A 550 lift in this 130 cubic inch motor, 550 lift, guys. That's all it is. So we made 173 horsepower on the 85 with 130 cubic inch motor, 12-to-1 compression. We made 173 horsepower, guys. Like nothing. The bike is not stretched out. It's not stressed out. What I mean by that is, it's not on its ragged edge. It's in the safe zone. It's very safe. George tunes all his bikes very safe. He doesn't want me to come all the way back up north, 1,500 miles, and blow my shit up. So we made that much horsepower out of such a little package. And I say little because you've got 131s running around, you got S&S 132 kits running around, you now have the Screaming Eagle 135 crate motor running around, you've got all these guys building 143 motors, 149 motors, you got all these big blocks. I like to call them big blocks. This is a small block still to me. You got all these big blocks running around, and these guys are making 150, 160 horsepower. And I just made 173 horsepower out of a little 130 cubic inch motor, guys. That just tells you right there, you don't need a big motor to make big power. If you have the right tuner and you have the right combination, the right recipe, you can make a lot of horsepower with these M8s, guys. I have to say, once again, if it wasn't for George at All American Cycle, my bike would have came home making 150 horsepower. You guys saw it. You guys saw it on the dyno that my bike made 150 horsepower. And as you saw in that video, we had an issue, and George was the one to diagnose the issue and fix the issue for me, because he is so smart and he has done so many of these. He knew exactly what the problem was. The bike did not have the compression it needed to make the horsepower I wanted. So he fixed it for me. If it was any other tuner, he would have ran the bike on the dyno, he would have did 3 pulls, and he would have said, here man, here's your dyno sheet, 150 horsepower. Man, this thing rips. This thing's a ripper, man. That's a lot of power. And if I didn't know what I knew before going down there, that this package should make somewhere in the 170s, I would have been like, okay, yeah, that's a lot better than what I had. I only had 128 horsepower before. So you really got to be careful who you let tune your bike, guys. You really got to know. You got to know what kind of parts you're putting in your bike. You got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Tune your bike, guys. This is no joke. This is real world situation here, right? Like, I don't hide anything. I showed you guys the issues I had down in Miami. I told you guys why we had the issues. I tell you guys the truth because this is real life. And a lot of YouTubers don't show the hard part. They don't show the negatives. They don't show the behind the scenes issues that you have when you're building a performance bagger to this caliber and you're trying to make that much power out of a stock crank M8. By the way, my bike has a stock 114 crank and rods in this bike, believe it or not. 173 horsepower on the stock bottom end. Stock bottom end, guys. So once again, if you have the right guy tuning it, it will hold up to the power. And that's really all I wanted to make this video about, guys, is letting you guys know it's all in the tune, it's all in the combo, it's all in the recipe. You have to know what parts work, and in this case, a 2-into-1 pipe with a good air cleaner, good throttle body, good heads, and good compression, you can make a lot of power with these M8s, guys. So to complete the 130 cubic inch big bore kit, I went ahead and installed a set of ported and polished heads on the bike as well. Now, a lot of you guys that saw the video of the bike on the dyno and saw the video of me down at All American Cycle, you guys saw that I had issues with my cylinder heads, and the issue was they weren't milled enough to make the 12-to-1 compression ratio that I needed to make the power I wanted out of this combo. He machined them down enough to make the compression ratio where it needed to be, which is 12-to-1. So again, I'm not going to throw shade at any company. I'm not going to talk bad about anybody. That's just not what I do on my channel. I'm sure a lot of you have put 2 and 2 together and figured out where I got the cylinder heads from. But once again, I'm not going to name any names. Unfortunately, they were not willing to work with me after all the trouble we had down in Florida. But at the end of the day, all I can say is George and his crew at All American Cycle hooked me up, took care of the problem, made killer power with the bike, and sent me back up to Michigan with a stout piece that runs good, performs good, that's reliable, and I'm absolutely happy with everything I did to the Road Glide at this point. So if you guys are in the market and you want to put a big bore kit in your bike, I'm going to say it one more time. If you have any questions, hit up George at All American Cycle and he will get you perfected. But I will let you guys know that the cylinder heads I'm running on my bike are +2 ported and polished heads. And once again, if you guys are interested in ordering up a set yourself or sending yours out to get ported and polished, make sure you hit up George at All American Cycle and he will point you in the right direction. He will create a package, what I call a recipe, for your bike with your specs, with your air cleaner, with your exhaust. He will talk to you and understand your riding style and understand what you want, and then he will create a package, or what I like to call a recipe, and sell you that recipe. Now, I know a lot of you guys are wondering why I don't have the air cleaner on the bike. When I got home from Miami, I took it off and I sent it over to my powder coater. The reason I sent it over to powder coat is because the T-Man air cleaner comes flat black, like the pipe. And I just really do not like flat black, and that's a lot of the reason why I'm not a fan of the Thunderheader pipe in black. But anyway, I took it off, sent it over to powder coat, and I just got it back yesterday. Guys, check this out. Check out this air cleaner. Got the All American Cycle window on there. He powder coated it gloss black. This is piano black. Check that out. And then I had him powder coat these parts in gold. That's powder coat, guys. That's not anodized. Look how good that air cleaner turned out. I mean, it's literally like jewelry, guys. And that is powder coat. That is not anodized. I'm super stoked with how the air cleaner turned out from powder coat. Super glossy. It's got that piano black finish, representing All American Cycle there. And you got the gold peeking through. Now, I know a lot of you guys are wondering, man, why are you putting all this gold on the bike? Well, you guys have heard in my other videos that I have a new look coming to the Road Glide. There's long lead times on some parts. And unfortunately, the main cosmetic part I'm waiting on for the bike is still not here yet. Then you guys will understand why I'm doing all these gold accents left and right on the bike. But I don't want to give too much away just yet, so we're going to leave it at that. But yeah, air cleaner turned out killer, guys. I absolutely love the gloss black over the flat black, and then he topped it off with the gold velocity stack and the standoffs here. Obviously the filter, I don't have it in there yet. Here's the filter. Filter goes in here. I just assembled it just so I could show you guys what it looks like And so you guys can see all the powder coat and all the gold on there. I mean, that turned out killer, guys. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Do you guys think I should have left it flat black, or do you like the gloss black with the gold in there? Comment down below. I want to know your thoughts. Now, I know a lot of you guys are concerned about running E85 or tuning bikes on E85. If you live in an area where you cannot get E85, I highly recommend not putting your bike or tuning it on E85. It's going to be more of a pain than it's worth to put fuel in your bike, and you're not going to be able to go anywhere because you're always going to have to be worried about hitting an E85 gas station. However, George at All American Cycle has the ability to tune the bikes on 93 and E85. If you have a DynoJet Power Vision, you can have him download both maps to that, run the bike on E85. Let's say you pull up somewhere to a town and you need gas and they don't have E85. You can plug your Power Vision in, download the 93 map tune, and ride it until you can get E85 back in the tank. So that is one of the main reasons why I traveled 1,500 miles down to Miami, Florida from Michigan to have George at All American Cycle tune my bike, so that I could have a 93 tune and an E85 tune. In case I'm up north or I'm somewhere where there's no E85, I can put the 93 map in the bike, go ride it, and still enjoy the bike, and then when I get back, put E85 back in it, put the E85 tune in it, and call it a day. That is why I went with E85. Now, a lot of people think that when you switch to E85, you do it because of horsepower. And I'm here to tell you guys that's not why you do it. Sure, you pick up 5 to 6 horsepower when you put your bike on E85. However, the main reason why George likes E85 is because it runs a lot cooler than normal gasoline. So he has noticed anywhere from 40 to 60 degree cooler cylinder temps, guys. That is huge. That is so huge. I don't have any external oil coolers on this bike. I do have the oil cooler fan hooked up from Harley on the stock oil cooler, but I don't have any external oil coolers on the bike. Now, I know George likes to install his own custom external oil cooler because he's down in Florida and it's hot as hell 99% of the time down there. We don't have those kind of temps up here, so I don't think I'll need that external oil cooler, but he does offer that if you guys live in a warm climate and you guys are wanting to cool the bike down just a little bit more. But anyway, E85 runs between 40 and 60 degrees cooler than normal gasoline. So that is the main reason why you want to run your high performance engine on E85. Along with that, E85 is actually higher octane than 93, so you can get away with more. And what I mean by that is you don't have to worry as much about detonation, because it's almost like running race gas in your car or in your bike. You don't have to worry about the detonation because the octane level is higher than 93 octane. I believe it's like 107, or like my 1R, I have two 55-gallon drums of 1R ethanol. So this stuff here is really good, and I ran this in my twin turbo Mustang, and this is 117 octane, as you guys can see right here. 117 octane. This stuff here works really good in boosted applications. And I actually am going to run it in the Harley when I go to the track, or if I have a race set up, I'm going to run the 1R ethanol in the bike. It's just a more purified version of pump E85, and it's higher octane, and I believe it's oxygenated as well. That's the main reason why you would want to run E85 in your bike. Yes, you pick up 5-6 horsepower, but it's mainly because it runs a lot cooler. Now, here's the thing. If you are a guy that wants to get on your bike and go ride 300 miles in a day, yeah, E85 is not for you. I'm just here to tell you right now, E85 is not for you. If you guys are planning on riding long distance, big long road trips, having to worry about what stations have E85 and all that, E85 was not for you. And I just wanted to share that with you guys because I know a lot of you guys were wondering. You guys were asking me on Instagram, you're messaging me, you're asking in the comments. You know, I know there's other YouTubers out there that have talked about E85 and that are running E85 in their Harleys, but that is why I chose to run E85 in my Harley. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate all your support on the channel. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to introduce this 2019 CVO Road Glide on the channel, so you're not going to miss it. It's a really nice bike, and I'm going to be getting into detail on that bike in my next video, so stay tuned for that. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!